ho! Hello, friends! How are you? If you have a few moments, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. You see, my name is Santa Claus. My friends, they call me Santa. Now actually, Santa's not my real name, even though over the years people all around the world have come to know me as Santa. My real name, it's Nicholas. I eventually became Bishop Nicholas of Smyrna. I later was honored with the title Saint Nicholas. Now I lived in Smyrna in the 4th century AD. Smyrna is located where you would now call the country of Turkey. Perhaps that's why you eat so much turkey this time of year. Now I was privileged to serve as bishop of this area during the early years of the church. You see, I came to know Jesus as my Savior early in my life. Trusting Jesus changed my life so much that I couldn't help but do as He would throughout my life. It really became the focus of my life to try and be like Jesus. Now, as it happened, I was blessed enough to be a very wealthy man. This was such a humbling experience for me. I mean, I really didn't deserve all that God had done for me. In fact, it was that humbling reality that kept me in a place of being very careful how I used what God had given me. In seeking the heart of God, what stood out to me the most was God's incredible love for me, that He'd give me the gift of His Son Jesus, even unto death, for me. And in that, suddenly I realized that God's love was most manifested in giving. It was this truth that I began to make a habit in my life to give to children, especially poor children. I love to throw special gifts and toys through their windows into their rooms, or put coins or surprises in their boots as they set them out at night. To see their eyes light up with joy and their faces smile. I'd smile too, and I'd happily laugh as I went on to the next home. That's why I love to give gifts to children, especially at Christmas. It seems so appropriate to give at Christmas, since really that's the day that we remember when God gave us His gift of Jesus. Now I realize I can't match God's gift of love. But if my giving somehow could touch the life of others, then I'd gladly give all I have to them. It's interesting now, almost 1,600 years later, long after I've gone to be with the Lord, how this tradition of giving has spread throughout the world to so many cultures. Somehow the gift of giving in the Spirit of God lives on. Well, I'm called very many things in various places around the world, but the most popular seems to be Santa Claus. You see, in the 17th century, Dutch settlers brought the legend of Sinterklaas with them to North America. And in 1773, someone wrote in the newspaper about Saint A. Claus. Can't you see how I got my name? A few letters added here and there, a misspelling or two, and pow, you got Santa Claus. Sounds alike, spelled different. Well, you get the idea. And to think I, St. Nicholas, could inspire all of this, and for it to live on for hundreds of years all over the world. Wow, that truly is a miracle. Well, the legend has changed over the years. You know how stories go. They get longer and more elaborate. You see, in 1823, I guess, is when I first truly became Americanized. Writer Clement Clark Moore wrote the poem A Visit from St. Nicholas, which is a poem you commonly know now as The Night Before Christmas. Of course, a lot of fantasy was inserted to make it fun for children, but over time, the image of me seems to live on in most people's memory that you see in that poem. They called me an elf back then. I apparently could fly up chimneys and through the air with reindeer. Now that's a long way from me throwing gifts through windows, but the basic idea lives on, I suppose. And then later Harper's Magazine made me a fat elf for its Christmas issues from the 1860s all the way through the 1880s. Can you imagine me fat? That's when they decided I lived in the North Pole with a workshop, and I kept a list of children who were naughty and who were nice. And then in 1931, Coca-Cola ads decided I was a fat, jolly old man, and my helpers were now elves. By 1939, Montgomery Ward's advertised that I had added a 9th reindeer named Rudolph. It's really quite funny how this all came to be and how serious some people take this right now. In 1925, a Finnish newspaper actually took it so seriously they announced I couldn't possibly live in the North Pole because reindeer couldn't graze there. So they announced that Santa Claus now lived in Finnish Lapland, way up in northern Finland. And you know, they actually built a Santa Claus village up there, complete with Santa's post office, which to this day receives children's letters from the 4 corners of the earth. It's interesting how legends grow and change, but at the beginning of every legend is the truth it was based on. And the legend of your Santa goes all the way back to me. A simple man in the 4th century named Nicholas, who loved Jesus, loved children, and simply wanted to give a bit of that love away. And though I could never match God's gift of love towards me, I truly am happy to see the gift that keeps on giving continues to live on. From year to year, person to person, one gift of love at a time. Who knows what God may do through your life? I'm amazed at what He's done through mine. I never thought 1,600 years later that this is what I'd be remembered for. How about you? What will you be